So yeah, that was so funny when you messaged me. I thought it meant positive display of affection. And I was like, oh my God, I hate it when people are all touching me and kissing me in public. Like, stop touching me.
But that's also a thing too, which we will be talking about next episode.
That is
because that also is a thing, but not to be confused with public display of affection, PDA. And autism is a little bit different. Stands for something a little bit different. Pathological Demand Avoidance. I kind of hate that name. And pathological, it just sounds wrong.
I know, and it's not like you don't always avoid it either.
Right.
It's just you have a reaction to demands. Yeah.
Yes.
So like, what's a great way to put it? How would you describe it?
I would describe it, just for me personally, how it shows up in my life would be ever since I was a kid, one of my biggest struggles at home was making my bed, because my parents would tell me to do it right upon waking up. And I was gonna, like, in my head, I was like, oh, I'm gonna get it done today, but like, I just have things I need to do right now. And now that you have brought it up, now it's like, now I just can't do it. Now I won't do it. And it was almost like my body just like physically couldn't do it. I would get so defensive. I don't know. And I would just come off as just a bitch. Like, so stubborn, so defiant, just negative.
I totally agree. Like, as a child, like I see where the avoidance comes from, because then you're like, now I can't do it. It's ruined.
Yeah.
Like, I was gonna do this.
You're like, put off.
Yeah, and it's like, why did you have to tell me about it? I was gonna do it. Did you think I couldn't do it? And it's like you get that defensive reaction. It's like, well, I have this under control and I'm gonna get to it, but it's not on your timing, I guess. So now I'm bad.
Right. And that's exactly, and even if the person doesn't mean it like that, that's just how it naturally comes off as.
Yeah, it's just like, that's how I read it. It's like, oh, I failed. You're upset because you had to remind me, or else you wouldn't have had to remind me.
I'm a failure. I'm lazy. I'm this.
It's like it's like the defiance is like a shame reaction.
It is.
And it really is like a shame reaction. It's like you're shameful for not being able to avoid someone intervening.
Right, especially because it's usually over like very simple, just everyday tasks that almost make it worse. Because then you're like, dude, I was gonna do that. Like, I didn't need you like reminding me. And you almost get like defensive about it.
See, that's why I never could do corporate, or like, I'm not good at micromanaged jobs. Like, this is why I've had to forge my own path and be very like, jobs that are my own. Like, I take care of my stuff, and then as long as I get my stuff done, no one's bothering me.
Right.
You know, and that's how I love to do it. And otherwise, it's like I couldn't take someone just being almost critical or like in my ear, or even like micromanaging. I can't be like, I need my time on my flow and I'll get it done, but I can't do it when you need it done, because I need to get all my other things done, or like I have a process.
Yeah, because then it's almost like my internal like social justice starts to come out, and I'm like, well, do you not value like my schedule and my time? Like, are you trying to, like, what are you trying to say?
Agreed. It's like, I know how to do this.
And then I start to like spiral, and I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna do it at all.
I know, I totally agree with that. Like, that's, I've done that myself, where it's like, that's exactly what it is. Like, I'm always a very respect for respect person.
Yes.
Like, that's what it comes down to. My golden rule is like, treat others as you want to be treated. You know, if you don't want to be treated a certain way, why would you treat somebody else that way? Right. You know, and that's kind of like when people tell me or remind me, I'm almost like, do you see me doing this to you? Am I in your ear reminding you of what to do? And that's where I get upset too. It's like, I don't do this to you because I respect you and your process and your time. So I wish you just, but as a younger age, I just didn't know how to set those boundaries and say, hey, this is what I need. I just was frustrated, and, you know, and I did grow up riddling, and, you know, I didn't not do it. I still wanted to be that good people pleasing first son, like, you know, be that good son that was like praised. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll begrudgingly do this, even though I don't want to, and I'm upset that you even said something, and now I'm going to give you attitude the rest of the day.
Yeah, you're like resentful.
But I'll do it. I'll do it, you know, because it is intense.
Yeah, my parents literally brought me to therapy when I was 15 years old, and the therapist kind of just like brushed it off as I was just this like defiant, bad kid. And I remember I was so bitter about therapy for a while until I found the right therapist that did not brush it off and actually listened to me. But for the longest time, I was just labeled as just a bad kid. That was it. Like, I had anger management issues, and I was stubborn, and I was just acting out for attention, stuff like that. And so now that I know that there's like a real thing for it, I'm like, oh, like, I'm not this just like defiant person. Like,
Agreed.
there is a reason behind my emotions and why I felt that way.
And honestly, I was unaware of this specific term because I've hid it so much in myself. Like I said, like, I begrudgingly did it, and I think maybe I would have been taken to therapy. Well, I was at 8 years old to be put on Ritalin. So, you know, that a psychiatrist, but, you know, instead of therapy, they're like, medicate them. But what it did is it got me to be a better kid. You know, I obeyed. You know, that was the thing. They probably saw it in me as a child, a younger child, where I wasn't aware of it, and I probably brushed it off or forget about it. And they're like, no, he needs it. And as soon as I started on it, like, I would begrudgingly do things, but that's when I started to bottle things up. I wouldn't let my emotions out, so it'd be even stronger of a mask. It's like, all right, I'm gonna behave. I'm gonna be this good kid. I'm gonna be this perfect person that they want me to be and pushing me to be, that I felt I was supposed to be.
Yeah, you get rewarded for it.
Exactly. And it's like, all right, well, this is the path that's being pushed for me. So a lot of it was like, I didn't even know about it because I've hid it so well until you brought it up, and I was like, I didn't even know this had a name. I thought I was just a bitch. Or like, I thought I was just irritable. And like, I thought that, I don't know. That's why I smoke a lot of weed, because I smoke a lot of weed because I'm a very functional pothead, I would say, because, you know, I take it a little bit each time I get too frustrated, and it helps me calm down and see the situation instead of react to the situation. You know, and I can read it and be like, okay, here I am. You know, that's got its own flow, but it's because I'm afraid people won't accept me because I'm too irritable. Or I can be too hostile, and I don't even know why I'm being that way. Like, I don't know why.
Or sometimes you don't even mean it. It's just how it comes off.
And it's like, even when people are helpful, like, I get really combative. That's like, why are you trying to help me? Like, you think I can't do this on my own? But now recently I've had to say, no, Chris, people care about you. They want to just help you. And it's not that you're lesser. They just want to make you more, or be a part of you, and try to lighten the load for you, and just to try to help, you know. And it's not an attack. And I've had to be like, okay, thank you. I appreciate it. And honestly, it's been things that I thought, well, maybe I got this on my own, but it's honestly, a lot of them have been really good tips, or like, oh, thank you for bringing this to my attention, because actually this is useful. So I appreciate that. I've actually started to notice that instead of pushing away outside help, it's like, well, maybe that's a new perspective I didn't think of.
Right.
You know, and I'll be quick to push it away and be like, you're making me do something I don't want to do.
Right.
And then I'm like, you know what? You're making me do something I'm not comfortable doing, and I need to step out my comfort zone more, and actually thank you for bringing this to me. And instead of being defensive, it's like a constructive thing.
Right, yeah, getting better with constructive criticism.
Yes, I know. Constructive criticism has been so hard, because it's the same thing. It's like, I know you're trying to make it better, because I do the same exact thing when people, and I'm like, well, you could do this, you could do this, and I get that. But it's like, when you don't ask for it, and you're not asking for anyone's input or advice on things, or when you're like, I was going to do this, like, you told me what I need to do, I got it. You know, it's when people impose without asking that I'm still working on, that it's like, no, Chris, it's okay. They just love you. They want something better for you, or like they see something and they think you should improve it, and it's worth at least listening to it. You shouldn't just shut out the world and say, I got this, because we really don't have it alone, and it does take a village, and we really have to learn to lean on our loved ones and our friends. And as neurodivergents, we tend to alienate and isolate, and we're very independent, and we take that because we feel these things that we don't know how to explain, so we do alienate ourselves. I feel a lot like, I don't know why I keep reacting to these people that love me, and I feel shame for it.
So how do you think what would be some ways to get past that, to kind of reformulate your life to where you can still do it on your own terms, but kind of while still pleasing or communicating with the other person? Because that was something that I struggled with still to this day. Like, my parents just won't, they don't understand. And no matter how many times I tell them, like, hey, every time that you bug me about it, the more you keep doing it, the more I'm going to back away. I'm gonna get to it, but they just don't get it. Mm-hmm. How do you make like a neurotypical or someone that just doesn't get it?
Well,
what do you say?
Like how we explained it, how it is like this pathological defiance that just comes about us, but it's more rooted in anxiety, not in like a defiant disorder. Mm-hmm. Like there's oppositional defiant disorder, ODD, right. And that is like decidedly so. Isn't that like you say something, I will not do it.
That's a like more extreme.
More extreme version. Mm-hmm. So yeah, this is more like an anxious version. It's rooted in shame almost. You know, like I said, like
that makes so much sense.
And it may be linked to some trauma too, to be getting in trouble for things that you know you were going to do. It's that good boy, that praise that we're looking for. And it's like we feel shame when somebody's not praising us, but guiding us or correcting us. And it's like, oh, I didn't know I was doing anything wrong. I wasn't trying to do anything wrong. I was trying to do everything right. And it's like I still couldn't do it right. And I still had to say something, and it becomes a shame spiral. Like, and then you spiral all day, and it's like it ruins my mood for the whole day.
Yeah, you almost get to like functional freeze. You're like, okay, I can't do anything now. My day's ruined.
It's like you see this demand as a threat because you feel like you've got your autonomy set. Like, I've got this, I know my flow, I'm gonna get this. And when somebody intersects it, it's saying, I'm not good enough to me. You know,
you don't care about what I need and how I'm working.
It shows up a lot in like relationships and such, you know, and it's mostly once you grow more, it gets narrowed down to relationships and your family, you know. Right.
But doesn't everything.
That's what I mean. It's like we take it as a threat onto who we are, and that's how I would explain it. Is that it's an anxiety, shame reaction from being corrected when we think we've already got it correct. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, and it's just that immediate, like, how it's like a challenge on your being.
Yes.
And it doesn't make sense really, but it's like we take things so literally and so seriously. And it's so crazy sometimes. Like, even like I'll have people make jokes to me and I'll take it so serious. I'm like, Chris, why did you take that so seriously? It's not that literal.
When I was younger, I had that problem. I would get so sensitive, and now that I'm older, I'm like, okay, like I get it. But when I was younger, I would get like, I would laugh at the moment, but then like at home, I'd be
yeah, I feel like it was an attack on my soul, like my whole person. It's like, oh, you don't like who it is, because I don't do that to you, like I said, like, so I never realized, you know, as you get older and go through relationships, you can't expect people to reciprocate the way you would in a relationship. That's just unfair. So you know, it's a lesson you learn through relationships though. You're like, well, I do this for this person and they see I do ABC, they see XYZ, and why is it never good enough? And it's like, I don't know. And it's like, they ask for this and I do this, but then they say this, and it just becomes a cycle. I kind of lost my own track on that.
It's a cycle.
I got a little emotional taking on that one. But I've learned that through those things, it's like I said, you don't speak each other's language. Sometimes you have to translate to that person. You have to translate to the person's language. Say, all right, they want to see things like X, Y, Z, so I'll try to do that and fit those slots. You know, you just got to try different things. And it's vice versa. You got to set your boundaries for people that you care about so that they don't trigger you.
That is just as important.
I know, because we try so hard to not create those triggers, but sometimes they're just irrationally there. And it's rational when you get to the root of it, but we react before we can even think of it. And you're like, why did I do that?
Right.
And that becomes another shame thing, that I reacted to it.
So much shame.
I know, there's so much shame in just being us.
Just being alive.
I know, and I try to talk to people, but you're like, you know, it's actually really hard for me when I do coach clients that are ADHD. Not very hard. it is hard because I see myself and I see what I've had to push down or control or mask. And then I'm like, well, if this is your problem, this is what you can do. But that was my solution, but that doesn't really solve anything. It was a Band-Aid at the time. So I don't know where I was going with that.
Well, you know what I like that we wrote down on the board earlier was anything that's a demand feels like an attack on the nervous system.
Yes.
That is exactly what it feels like, what PDA feels like summed up. And in response, you can either do the flight, fight, or fawn. And that really just sums up the whole thing. It's not that we're just these like stubborn, defiant, lazy, bitchy
Exactly. I think
people.
we get labeled as lazy and defiant, but really, like I said, I didn't even know this had a definition because I've never even brought it up in therapy or to anyone because I thought it was just a me problem, and I thought it was maybe because of my environment. I was just being pressed upon, and so I was just being bitchier, which I have noticed if you're in a calmer, peaceful environment where people aren't pressing on you, you stop reacting like this.
Suddenly, you don't have PDA issues.
Yes, and that's what I've learned, like through exes and stuff. Those were people that triggered me.
Yes,
like
when you feel safe.
And I try not to be triggered, but then even then I would still be cold and like I would be like withdrawn and be like, oh, don't talk to me right now. I can't talk. I don't know why I feel this way because I'm like, Chris, you can't be, what are you doing? Like you catch yourself and you're just like, okay, I see myself reacting. And you really just have to surround yourself and create those boundaries, and the people that do love you will respect those boundaries and come correct, you know, just like as they hopefully do set for you and you respect back to them.
Yeah, because I guess if you do come across someone that's close to you that truly doesn't understand and you want them to at least somewhat understand, you could use the phrase that anything that you say that's a demand feels like an attack on my nervous system. And I feel like that, for the most part, sums up. And if they respect you, then they should respect that, and then you guys can handle things a little differently.
Exactly. And some other ways PDA does show up, you know, besides like the procrastinating, you know, you may put things off to the very last minute because somebody asked you to do it. You know, you're like, well, no, I'm not going to do this, so I absolutely have to do that. Ghosting, like, so when you make plans and then all of a sudden it's time to go to those plans and you're like, oh, this feels so intense, I feel like being forced into this. Like this happens to me to this day. Like even to last week, it was like, all right, I said yes to going to getting lunch with these people. You know, they came into my life for a reason. They want to meet up for a reason. They want to reconvene. You know, like there were people that meant something in the past. So I was like, I would love to meet up. But then as soon as the time comes, I'm like, oh, this feels like a lot. They pushed me into this. Like I didn't want to do this at all. But then it leads me back to saying, okay, Chris, they're pushing you outside your comfort zone because it's uncomfortable to just go out for lunch for some reason. I know it sounds stupid.
No,
But somebody that it's like, I don't know how this is going to go maybe, but I did know. And
you can't fully script what's going to happen, what's going to be said.
And then it's almost feeling like the time was like, when I got there, we fed into each other. That's how you have those good relationships. We feed into each other. But it was like before, like with other people, I feel like I'm being very taken from or drained. So I'm like, oh my gosh, am I going to be set up to draining myself? And I'm just going to have to sit there for an hour and listen to them talk.
And then come home and be just
depleted. No, it was, they were asking about me. What are you doing? Oh my God, this is great. And it was back and forth and it just felt so good. And it's like, all right, Chris, don't be afraid. It was more like learning to say yes to things, especially things that are uncomfortable to you because they are pushing you outside your comfort zone. If you're reacting to it, it's a message. That's your nervous system saying, hey.
There's something that needs to be looked at,
Yes, exactly. And that's what I'm learning, like, you know, and you react in those fight, flight, freeze, or fawns, like you had said, and it causes those self-sabotage, you know. But when we learn to rise above these and talk ourselves out of them, you know, it's like mostly a lot of these people just care about us. They love us. That's why we even allow them to get under our skin. Because let's be real, people not close to us, they don't mean anything. They can't get through me. Like I know it means nothing. I know it's projection. But when it's somebody close to home asks me to do something, it's almost like I said, an attack on my character. And it's like, oh, why did you do this?
Why did
It's like,
you
don't you think
tell
I
me?
got this?
Right.
Like, I guess it's just the way I want to be approached, maybe. It's like, hey, I told my
it's
mom.
the way they communicate.
Yeah, like I told, like how I wanted to be talked to is like, I like a compliment sandwich. I would like to say, hey, you've done really well at this. I really like this. And then I can be, but you've already set me in a good mood.
Yeah, you're like, okay.
From saying, I did something good. Okay, well, I can listen to something else. And then, end it with something good. And then it's like, well received.
I'll do better.
It's almost like you have to set the tone before you give the message. Otherwise, if you comment that's perceived sideways,
then it's like, whoa.
Then you
whoa,
get defensiveness.
Yes.
Defensiveness. But I've learned that if somebody's like really nice and says something nice first, and then, but I saw this. Oh, okay. But then I really like this. And then it like lifts you up again. I was like, I don't expect everyone to do that for me. I try to do that for myself. I try to see confidence in what I do and speak positivity in myself and try to see all those things so that I don't have to rely on outside validation. But it does help if someone's going to give me criticism or advice or a reminder. It is better to deliver it in a bow.
Yes, I love that because I would make my bed every day if my mom just said, Kaylee, I love the way you make your bed. I would love to see it done every day. Yes, ma'am. You got it.
My mom knew that. That's what she used to say to me. She's like, Chris, I love how nice and clean your room is. It's the cleanest room in the house. And I was like, oh, well, I have to keep it clean.
Right.
My mom loves it clean.
Yes.
And so it was always clean. And it made me feel good that it was clean. You know what I mean?
It just solidifies my belief that I think every human deep down has a praise king.
Oh,
I think so.
All do.
At our core, we just want to just be happy and make others happy.
Exactly. And I think that's a good thing to want. Make everybody happy, make yourself happy by making others happy.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing.
But then we are learning that we are the healers, and then we have to learn how to heal ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
But magical things happen when we discover that.
That is so true.
Because we put a lot of energy into growth in other people, and when we turn it inwards, we're like, oh, look at all this shit I can do and accomplish, and I feel so much better.
Right. Yeah, stop giving it to that dusty side piece you have and start giving it to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Another thing that helps is like letting go of those time pressures, like letting people say, hey, you gotta do this, and be like, okay, thanks for the reminder. It's just a reminder, like I'm still on my process, I'm on my flow. But it's like now maybe the priorities moved up. But letting go of the time pressure is like, I'll get to it when I get to it. It'll get done.
Yes.
If they're just reassure the person, say, hey, have I let you down before? No, I got this. And that's what I'm learning too. It's like, you can just say, hey, I got this. Thank you for the input though, because I know people do. When it comes to like people demanding things, that's where you have to let it go. And then the other stuff is like changing the internal language instead of like, I have to do this, I have to do this. And it's like, you could say, what if I did this and then I did this? It's just kind of leading yourself
because I don't do good to the I have to, I need to, like those hard words that are demands.
Those definite words.
Yes, I'm like, I'm out. But if it's a much softer delivery, then I'm like, of course I'll do that for you.
See, I will catch myself when I'm getting anxious and overstimulated like that too. It's also, I'm using those words in my head. Like, I need to do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I need to do this. And it's like, then I'm creating this anxiety of this time and this panic. And it's like, I've created these constrictions in myself of demands. And it's like, I think that's also, like we do demand of ourselves a lot, and that's why we don't demand of others too much. We hold out, we do. Well, I mean, I guess we do. We'll talk about that in a different way, because that's like, we just expect people to get it like we do. We expect people to come correct as we come, and that's what our learning, like I said, we have to learn that not everybody is the same, and that everybody has their own way of showing love and support, and we have to understand that their way is their way and our way is our way. And when we're in a relationship, we learn to translate so that each one hears each other and understands it and feels that. Yeah. But back to the PDA, I think it's better if we like normalize the experience, by setting those boundaries and say, hey, to your loved one, and be like, hey bro, like I just need you to do this, this, and this for me, because when you do this, I feel this way. And I know you don't mean it this way, but could you help me out? And so when you have something to tell me, like say something nice or say, hey, do you got a second? Like I was just come at me with a softer kid glove. I know it sounds stupid, but we'll all be better in the long run for it. I mean, then there is to be said that we need to strengthen ourselves and stop taking things so personally. Right. But also it's like both sides. Like they can come, they can approach you better and you can react better. Yes. You can both work on it, just like as they can react better and you can approach them better. You know, all these are great like things that you can do for yourself, you can do for it. Just creates a better relationship with everyone.
Yeah, or even just simply saying like, instead of saying, can you do this now? Say, oh, when you have a moment, would you mind doing this? Like simple stuff like that.
The time constraints.
Just absolutely changes the entire vibe and makes it so less daunting.
And you're so right when they're saying, you know, whenever you got a chance, and then I'll be like, oh, I could do that right now.
I'll do it right now. Because you want to make them happy. You're like, oh, I have nothing going on. Actually,
I got you. I'll get it done right now for you. That is so funny. You're right.
Like it can be just so simple, but it's just that slight tweak of words. And for us, that slight tweak of having a little more grace and forgiveness.
Yes.
And we can all get along.
Yes, it's all about that grace. Like we got to give ourselves more grace and we give each other more grace, you know? And a lot does stem from that. It's like that. You're so right. It blows me away that I didn't even think about that. But yeah, just that tiny twist is such a big thing. Yeah, just saying when you get to it, then it's like, you know, I really would love for you to help me if you could spare the time. And us being people pleasers, like, I gotcha.
So it works for everyone. Trust me.
You just gotta learn to manipulate us better.
Right, and we'll do it.
That's so funny.
But I'm very interested for the next podcast. Another kind of PDA that I actually like, but sometimes I do not like. We talked about it over text, and we're going to talk about it in the next episode.
Yes, so like I was saying, you know, I think a lot of neurodivergents could say like some people have that touch that is their love language, where touch to me is like, why are you touching me? Even love language, through relationships, I've had to be like, okay, it's okay for people to touch you. They love you. They want to touch you. You want to touch them, and it's like, oh, I don't always want to touch them. You know, because I feel weird. I'm like, am I touching them too much? You know, I internalize too much.
Right. So we're gonna go on.
But that's its own thing to talk about.
Yeah, we got
anxiety, shame. Yeah, we can talk all about that too. And then leading to relationships and stuff. But one thing is like to affirm that this isn't about being bad at life. You know, it's just a mismatch of expectations and how you want people to address you. You know, and that's all it is. It's about back to setting boundaries and just being respectful and saying, hey, I would appreciate this. You know, and if they're not going to respect you, then get out of that environment. You need to be in an environment with people who respect you and your needs, just like you respect theirs and their needs. You know, you don't need to put yourself up with anything just because you feel you have to. Everything is easy to change as decidingly so. Like as soon as you decide something, it's real. It's crazy. You know. So one tip I'd say to give you guys is try this today, where you give yourself permission to do things your way. Say, I've already done things this way and I've never really agreed with it, or you know, you have a different way of doing things, but you still are efficient at it. You know, maybe you can bring that to your boss's attention, or even within your household. It'd be like, I'm going to start doing things this way because I think it's more efficient, and see how people respond to it and say, oh, thank you for improving our methodology, instead of sitting there and be like, because we all are efficiency snobs, I feel. We get into a job and we're like, oh, I could do this better. Like we could change this, we could change that.
Right.
But then we begrudgingly just do it the way that we're told because we want to be accepted and we don't want to ruffle any feathers. We hate to be a burden, you know, so we just sit there. So yeah, challenge yourself to do something your way, to bring it apart. Be like, you know what, I think it would be better if we tried it this way, you know, and see how it works. Start the conversation, you know, open it up the door of saying, you know what, I am smart and I can have input. I don't just have to go along with what everybody else is just so I can be accepted. Start standing up for yourself and start putting yourself into the things you do.
I like that.
I do too.
That.
And if this episode hit home, definitely send it to a friend. Like if you know neurodivergence in your life, we'd love for you to share this. I feel this is a great video. Like, I've already had great feedback from like strangers that are saying, I'm so glad you're doing this.
So
I totally resonate with the things you guys are talking about. I don't feel like you guys are talking at me. Like,
I love, that's like the big thing that I wanted. I love that.
Me too. And that's what I see in a lot of therapists online or social media. And I'm trying to figure out a coaching video style for that too. It's like more of this conversational style. Like, we're just talking about ourselves. I'm not, no one's telling you what to do, because everybody has their own way of doing things. And what works for you doesn't necessarily work for me. But hey, we're in the same mindset community.
We're all
so
trying to figure
hopefully
it out.
some of the tips and tricks we have will also work for you, since we are set up very similarly, you know. And that's what this is all about, is just creating that community again, you know, and saying like, we're okay, we're not different, we're not bad, we're just different, you know. And I was starting to do these reset calls. I do a free reset call for people. Your first hour is always free, and we tackle the major thing that is affecting you today, and we'll go over how to break it down, helpful strategy and tools, and how to keep yourself motivated in the long term. In that hour, we'll tackle one thing. And then hopefully that sets you up and say, oh, I really like how we did this, and this is successful. And then you book more coaching sessions with me. So anyways, until next time, this is Unmasked and Unchained. I'm Chris.
I'm Kaylee. Follow us on social media.
Yes, follow, subscribe, like, do all those great things. We love to hear from you as well, so send us a DM. Bye.
I think that was good. I think we got a lot. I think that was very informative, even to people that don't have autism or ADHD or anything.
No.